Why did Bo-Katan lie about seeing the Mythosaur? Greetings again, Acolytes, and welcome back to the archives. The Mandalorian Chapter 19 has officially been released, with the title being The Convert, and we got a quite different episode in terms of focus and theme, as we spent the majority of the runtime following Dr. Pershing's reintegrating with the New Republic. However, the episode was bookended by Din Djarin and Bo-Katan Kryze trying to figure out their next move. We pick up directly after the ending of the previous episode, where Bo-Katan rescues Din from falling into the murky depths of the living waters. Din Djarin appears to have been knocked unconscious from his sudden slip, and didn't see the Mythosaur when he was brought out by Bo-Katan. However, rather than tell Din Djarin what happened, Bo keeps this a secret. With her helmet remaining on for the entire episode, it's a bit difficult to see and analyze exactly what she's thinking. Though, we do know that the sight of the Mythosaur either greatly troubled her or greatly intrigued her. And today, we have decided to get together and discuss with you a theory that we had following Bo-Katan, and why she decided to keep the Mythosaur a secret from Din. But what is not a secret is that we have noticed that many of you who are pursuing our archives have not yet subscribed. If you enjoy our breakdowns, theories, and lore dumps all about our favorite galaxy far, far away, then be sure to reach out and force crush that subscribe button. Now, on with our theory. Last week, we discussed what the Mythosaur actually meant to the Mandalorian people, how it was their ancient ancestral claim to power and an ancient rival. The very first leader of the Mandalorian people, Mandalore the Great, established himself by being the first person to slay a Mythosaur. This death caused a great hunt for the beasts in return. Later, of course, the Mandalorians apparently decided to tame them instead, flexing their power and authority by riding the ancient monsters. Unfortunately though, this practice fell into antiquity with the supposed extinction of the Mythosaur. Back in the day, it was a sign of supremacy in a Mandalorian who could tame and ride the great beast. So we can't help but wonder what Bo-Katan might be thinking. We can say for certain that she is haunted by her experience seeing the beast though. She is quite fearful after witnessing it, and the episode ends with her staring at the Mythosaur skull insignia, with the thought that maybe this could be exactly what she needs. We here at the archives can't help but think that Bo-Katan might put her knowledge of the ancient Mandalorian ways to good use in order to gain back her power. But what exactly do we mean by this? It's established that Bo-Katan has a strained relationship towards the Darksaber. She greatly fears the curse of it and is struggling with the feel as though she is responsible for the destruction of Mandalore, and responsible because she claimed the Darksaber without earning it. As for now, it does not look like Bo-Katan is thinking about challenging Din Djarin for the rule. This is not to say though that she doesn't greatly resent Din Djarin, which we believe she certainly does. The Mandalorian protectors and those that followed Bo-Katan for so long abandoned her when she failed to recover the weapon and came back empty-handed. Bo-Katan is completely alone, with no clan or remnants of her people to speak of, since they all left her to become mercenaries. However, by a wild turn of events, Bo-Katan was admitted into the Children of the Watch, because of course she had technically bathed in the living waters, and had not removed her helmet since doing so. Even though she is not a follower of the way per se, the armorer made it clear that they were going to welcome her into the tribe with open arms, even if she did have plans for leaving. I find this incredibly intriguing, as Bo-Katan spent a great deal of time criticizing this tribe and calling them a cult. Yet, because she inadvertently followed the way, she is now a member of the tribe and some of the only Mandalorians that are left that will accept her. A former member of Death Watch, now a child of the Watch, at least for the time being. Bo-Katan now has an interesting opportunity before her. If she were to tame the Mythosaur, would that make her leader of the Mandalorians? That is a very strange and important question, because of course, what of the Darksaber? The Darksaber and its lineage was something that developed far more recently, as Tar Vizsla created it during the era of the Old Republic, more specifically in the exact year of 1050 BBY. When taking into account galactic history and the history of Mandalore, that's not very long at all. In fact, the Mask of Mandalore, which was made out of the bones of a Mythosaur, was in circulation and passed down from ruler to ruler far longer than the creation of the Darksaber, even though this mask was lost to history. However, where the mask came from is of course the Mythosaur. All roads of the Mandalorian people lead back to taming of the Mythosaur in the year 7000 BBY. In our minds, this gives credible precedence over rulership of the Darksaber, meaning that if someone is to tame a Mythosaur, and the Mandalorian Watch follow the ancient creed, which of course is the way, a religion that predates the Mandalorian Crusaders, and possibly even dates back all the way to the Tuong, a time when Mandalore the Great was alive. This would mean that if Bo-Katan were to show up riding the very last Mythosaur, she might have the ability to undermine the authority of the Darksaber. What you really have to think about though, is it's actually not that much of a stretch to say that the Mandalorians, and especially the Children of the Watch, would likely recognize the rule of a Mythosaur rider, as the entire foundation of their culture began with the Mythosaur, and they still use its skull as their insignia and a representation of their people to this very day. It would be an absolutely fascinating tale to follow, as every Mandalorian would need to choose between the legendary old ways and the new ways of the Darksaber. This would challenge the very foundation of the modern Mandalorian status quo. And this likely results in a way between those who rally under the Darksaber and those who rally under the Mythosaur. The Children of the Watch would be split in half, and I think one of the greatest civil wars in Mandalorian history could result from this. To know this, we could simply reference the prophecy that the Armorer quoted all the way back in the Book of Boba Fett. The songs of eons foretold of the Mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore, and it appears as if we have now entered this new age. One of the biggest questions for this theory though is, would Bo-Katan actually be willing to do this? This would certainly ruffle some feathers, and she may not want to see her people in another civil war. However, we cannot forget that she was a part of Death Watch and a follower of Pre Vizsla, and in Vizsla's famous last words, only the strongest shall rule. There's also the possibility that Bo-Katan might go as far as to tame the Mythosaur and claim the Darksaber, doubling up her authority. This road could honestly go many ways at this point, and I think that at this point in time, we'll have to see if Bo-Katan decides to integrate herself into the Children of the Watch or not. Followers of the Ancient Creed, who she would have to go by their rules, Mythosaur or not. Because we saw that when Din Djarin was an apostate, it didn't matter that he was the owner of the Darksaber. They didn't consider him a Mandalorian at all after this, especially because he had fallen from the way. So Bo-Katan will have to accept the way in order to rule their people. But my friends, what do you think of this? And now, I raise the important question to you. Will Bo-Katan or Din Djarin attempt to tame the Mythosaur and use it to seize power or undermine the Darksaber? And, as a larger question, if you were a Mandalorian, would you follow the wielder of the Darksaber or the rider of the Mythosaur? As always, my friends, and acolytes of the Force, thank you so much for stopping by our archives yet again. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.